Hello friends, TechManPat here. Hope you are well. Today I'm going to be reviewing a bit of an older device. It is the G915, the wireless keyboard that I called maybe a year ago or so the best keyboard I've ever used. And now I'm getting to review it as a wireless device. So if you want to see that video, make sure to check out the links below. You can go into a bit more detail about using the keyboard, but I want to talk about this one because the main difference here is obviously wireless, but I also personally get to check out Logitech's own GL linear type keys. So from my experience with what they have been so far, they have been absolutely smooth, they've been fantastic, and I'm surprised I've never tested out linear key switches. They would probably be matching your Reds or something close to that keyboard. This is the one I came from, and as you can see, the design is absolutely similar. It is both RGB, it is both metallic magnesium alloy, it obviously has a cable in this one, and the other one is wireless. We'll get to that in a moment, but these are very clicky, and you're going to hear a comparison in a minute. All I have to say about this keyboard is the low profile is probably one of the favorite things I had about that keyboard. Now, the star of the show. Let's talk about the G915 and why I think this keyboard is now the best keyboard because it is wireless. And let's talk about it after the intro. The G915 is right now on sale for 278 Australian dollars on Amazon. I'll link that below, but it usually goes for about $350. This is not a cheap keyboard, neither was the previous one. It is, however, probably my choice for gaming. Now, the key part is the one that people will probably choose from. What kind of keys do they like using? These keys are the linear ones. They have a 50-gram actuation, a 1.5 actuation point, a 2.7 millimeter travel distance, and that is actually really impressive with this very, very low profile keyboard. So the linear switch has smooth and consistent keystrokes with a quiet noise. The tactile one has a small bump on each keystroke with a moderate noise level, and clicky is a small bump on each keyboard with a very loud click noise. These are Logitech's own keys, and obviously that's a little bit different because everybody's used to those Cherry MX, and I have to say, Logitech has done an absolute bang-up job of creating a mechanical keyboard switch. It is absolutely impressive. Now, linear switches tend to be best for things like rapid succession clicking or keystrokes, making them very ideal for MMO and action games. Now, I personally play a lot of action games, and that has been the big difference that I realized with the clicky one. You can also get a tactile, which has a little bit of a click but not an audible one. You can feel it, and the clicky one makes very loud clicks. It's like your Cherry MX Blues. These three versions, I would still say that this one is probably my favorite. Now, the biggest change has been the noise. This keyboard is much quieter, and you'll hear it in a second. And of course, it feels like I'm making less mistakes. I feel like I'm typing a lot better on this, but I don't have the satisfaction of the clicks, which I did like. But I wish I could just turn them off in the evenings. In regards to RGB, obviously the whole keyboard is completely RGB, and you can change colors everywhere except the one place that I really don't like is these M buttons. They are all yellow and you cannot change them. Bit of a pain, but once you've set it, you don't really notice it. I wish I could even turn them off. You have both a wireless 2.4 gigahertz connection and a Bluetooth, which is absolutely fantastic. So this keyboard technically can connect instantly to two devices at once. So you might have a laptop on your left, which has maybe a Bluetooth connection to this keyboard, and you can switch and start typing on that as really quickly. And you've obviously got the standard buttons of blocking the Windows key, and you can change the light. Now, within that space, the light is probably the only thing that sucks out battery. At no light, you can have 1200 hours of use. Yes, my friends, 1200 hours of use without RGB. But nobody can live a life without RGB, so if you have that on, it's about 30 hours, depending on the level of brightness. Now, I found it worked for me for a full week before I had to charge it again, and that just meant that I spent about 1 or 2 hours per day, maybe 3, and this switches off the RGB as soon as you haven't touched it for a while. I'm going to not touch it now, and let's see how long it takes. So I'm going to touch it now, and there we go. We'll wait how long it goes for. Basically meaning that the RGB turns off, it goes into a bit of a sleep mode. Now, that is one thing that annoys me a little bit. When I sit down and start typing, maybe if it's dark, I don't see where the keys are, and I have to just tap to light it up, and then I can start typing. So do note that if you like the light for the fact that you don't know where to place your hands and which keys to click at first off, you'll start typing double keys because you might go, oh, press Q to light it up, but it's already pressed Q on where you're typing, and hence it's kind of annoying. But that's what you give up for wireless, which we'll get to in a moment. I know we're really excited. Now, there is a special coating for your finger oils so it doesn't wear out, and I can tell you right now that the same coating is on the other keyboard, and it absolutely works. None of the keys have worn out, and I expect the same for this. The only thing I would say about the lighting and the keys is that the symbols don't light up, so be careful if you're using it at night. You will have to kind of look for it. It does have a little bit of lighting around it, so you can always catch it, but just to note, those symbols do not light up. This is a full keyboard, and it seems that 90% of sales are non-TKL, so TKL would cut it off right here. So people still want this, and people still use the num keys, and so do I. I love being able to type in passwords, numbers, and calculate things on that side, but it is a full-size keyboard. It is quite large and takes up a lot of real estate on your actual desk. But in saying that, when it does take up a lot of space, the fact that it has no wires is probably what makes this work so well. Now, because it's also wireless, there is no USB pass-through, which I really liked about the other keyboard. You plug in 2 USBs at the computer, and you'll have a little USB in the back to plug it in. That's unfortunate. I had to work around it and get an extra USB hub. The other disappointment is that it does not have USB-C. It is micro USB, and that's a little bit odd. It kind of pains me to say it, but that's annoying. But I know why. It's because this keyboard here is about 2 years old already, and it still is the top of market in regards to wireless and gaming. We'll talk about my recommendation in a moment. The structure of it is 5052 aluminum magnesium alloy. As mentioned, it is absolutely beautiful, and it's so strong it makes the keyboard very rigid, which allows it to have that really low profile. It also means that it requires a little light box here that is plastic to let the signal go through. Now, distance-wise, perfect for gaming from a TV. Before we get into the wireless side of things, I want to mention one thing. Because of the nature of these keys and them being pretty much proprietary to Logitech, it's actually not easy to just go out and get a replacement if you break one of these keycaps. And because of that low profile, maybe something gets stuck in between, maybe your shirt or a sleeve, and you pull out and you break it off. That could potentially happen. So do note to take care with this keyboard, and especially if you're moving it in and out of the onto the TV to the computer, if you're gaming like that, then it might be cause for concern. But I bet if you reached out to Logitech, they'll send you some replacement key caps. As standard, the keyboard has pop-ups on the back for 3 height settings. You've got the highest one, then the lowest one, and of course one in between that pops out under there. They seem to be very strong and do not bend when putting pressure. And speaking of which, when you do put pressure on the middle of the keyboard, it is very stiff. That magnesium alloy is absolutely fantastic and probably adds to the cost, but it also means this is a very solid keyboard that you can't even twist. There is an on-off button at the top here that you can switch it on and off, and of course it's pretty light, especially with the fact that it now has a battery inside, which sits just around here. The battery itself is brilliant, as I said, at 1200 hours without RGB and 30 hours with full RGB. At the bottom we have some rubber feet, and all I would say is that I wish they were a little bit bigger. There is no hand rest at the bottom here, so be cautious when you're a hand rest type of typist that this is not going to come with it. All it comes with is a USB dongle, a USB micro cable, and the keyboard itself. If you like typing with a bit of a wrist rest, then this might not be the keyboard for you. And as always, my favorite is the media controls right here. Controlling the sound is as great as usual. There is no feedback, it's a smooth movement, but there is no delay between controlling this and the actual computer. I saw a review saying there's some sort of delay and I just could not figure it out. I could not find it. To me, I actually think that they might have had the actual USB dongle set in the wrong USB. Yes, that can actually happen, and it could delay the speed of this keyboard. It has a 1 millisecond refresh rate, which means this is a gaming beast. So let's talk wireless. It lasts 30 hours with RGB, which means you have to have a cable laying around and plug it in when you charge. You can hide it away. So if you're trying to get rid of all cables, note that every week or so you might have to plug it back in. The wireless though has been absolutely fantastic. I have not noticed any delays, any sync issues, any random keys missing or anything like that. At this point in time, Logitech has got the Lightspeed connection down to an art, and this keyboard is proof that you can game competitively in style in a very magnificent keyboard. And I for one have to say that I was never a big fan of wireless keyboards because of the bulkiness of them, because of the battery issues, and hence not having RGB. Yes, I'm one of those people, I love my keyboard to be light up. But when I saw the price tag, obviously the difference wasn't actually much. It was about $70 to $100 between the two keyboards, and I thought to myself, well, the pain of wireless is probably not worth it. I'm here to tell you that actually it is worth it, and finally I've realized for myself, if you are not really caring about wireless and just want to get the experience of this fantastic keyboard, which I have to say has probably one of the best switches I've used, and Cherry MX, my God, you guys have competition now. If you're looking for a keyboard that is great just for typing, then go for the wired edition. If you want to go wireless, be confident that you'll have no problems, apart from obviously having to charge it every so often. And lastly, there's one thing a lot of reviewers don't talk about, and that is keeping this keyboard clean. This is a dust and hair and anything magnet. Unfortunately, it just, everything from your face, your crumbs, whatever it might be, it just falls into the keyboard and sits right under the really low profile keys. And it's extremely hard to get to it with an air blaster even, or just maybe a little brush. And the best thing you can do is just take off all the keys and then actually clean it out. Now, when you do take off all the keycaps and clean it out, there is one thing you thought might be very helpful. It has like a little G or a K or an O or an L on the actual bloody switch. But guess what? That doesn't actually match the key that you're going to be putting it in. So if you are going to be taking it apart, make sure to remember how a keyboard is laid out, or at least just look it up. This is the peak of gaming. And in saying that, the peak of gaming also costs. Yes, at $278 special right now, it's a great bargain. It's actually a fantastic purchase. But I would suggest that if you are looking to buy it at full price, maybe reconsider if wireless is what you need right now. If you're going to be gaming in front of a screen like a TV, or if you want to move around on your desk a bit more, then yes, absolutely. Nonetheless, this keyboard is still my favorite keyboard, and with its wireless, I can confidently say it's still brilliant. Make sure to like this video if you did. Big thanks to Logitech for sending me this keyboard for review. I'm absolutely blown away with the quality of the wireless and the actual linear keys. Absolutely recommend them for action gaming, and for typing, I think they're still great. I typed up this review on it as always, and I think it's a great experience and you will not regret it. And as I said, if you want to see the full review of the other keyboard, which I go into more detail about the keys, then check out the link below. The G915 wireless is a high recommendation from me. Thanks for watching, catch you all in another video, and I'll see you then. Bye!